Greetings, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. Something I have noticed recently, and something I'm sure that a lot of you have also noticed whilst being on social media, is the increase of hatred that is directed towards polyamorous people. So often I'm just minding my business and scrolling through Twitter, scrolling through TikTok, wherever, and I will come across just people making fun of or like bullying polyamorous people, either just like on the timeline or in the comments or replies to people. And it always takes me so off guard. I exist in a space on the internet, especially on Twitter, that is very pro polyamory. I exist in a book fandom space, and within the book fandom, like some of the most popular ships are like thruples. So I see a lot of it, and it's always viewed in a very positive way, and it's like celebrated, and it's very like manifesting thruples kind of shit. And so whenever I see this poly hate, I'm so taken aback because I forget that like a lot of people are just cruel for no reason and direct so much hatred towards these people pretty much entirely unprompted. And this hatred is coming from queer people and straight people alike. It is like a team up of everyone hates poly people and the relationships that they are in because they are unconventional. And I find it very interesting, and I wanted to take a dive into where this might be coming from and have a bit of a conversation about it. And if you do enjoy this video and want to see more videos of me diving into topics like this, then please do not forget to hit subscribe. 50% of you are regular viewers but are not subscribed, and so I would appreciate it greatly if you checked. I am trying to reach 500k by the end of the year, and anything helps. Truly, hitting subscribe really genuinely actually helps me out, so I appreciate it. And also, if you are already subscribed, or even if you're not, if you could leave a like and a comment too, that would be fantastic and means a lot. With all of that said, let us carry on having this conversation. Like, listen, I understand that polyamory is not for everyone. I understand that not everyone is interested in it. It is not something that, you know, you think is going to work for you, or it's not something that you want to try to do. That is totally fair. Myself personally, I am very appreciative of the idea of polyamory. I think that it's like a really cool thing. And I personally think that people who are in polyamorous relationships have some of the most healthy relationships you can have. Like, if they are doing it correctly, then they are some of the most beautiful and well-functioning relationships, because they require such a large level of trust, respect, and communication that a lot of monogamous couples just do not have. Despite that though, and despite my appreciation of them, I don't personally know if it's something that I could do, because I have my own sort of jealousy issues, and so it's not something that I think I would be able to do, at least at this point in my life. And I think that it's totally valid to be monogamous and want to continue to be monogamous. In saying that though, I think that monogamy largely comes from societal teaching above all else. I think that monogamy is the norm and is so strong, and people find polyamory so weird and unconventional and just wrong purely because we have been raised in a society that says we have to be monogamous. We are brought up being made to think that love is a finite thing. We have a limited amount of love, and that someone has to give you all of their love in order to prove that, you know, they love you and that they want to be with you. And I just don't think that that's true. I don't think we have limited love. I think that we are capable of so much more love than we think we are. I think that we have an infinite pool of love to give. And I don't understand why so many people restrict themselves, not necessarily just in relationships, but like, I think a lot of people are trapped in the idea that you only have enough love to give to one person, and thus, you know, you think that someone only has enough love to give to one person. So you have the fear of, if you're in a relationship and someone loves you, if you had an extra person, it means the amount of love you get would be cut in half. It means that now you are only receiving half the love you were receiving before, and the other person is getting the other half, so therefore you are not loved entirely. But I don't believe that that is true. I think you can love two people to maximum capacity, because love is an unlimited sort of field, you know? It's like you can have two favorite movies. You know, you can watch a movie and love it and it's your favorite movie. And then you can watch another movie and you love it and it's also your favorite movie. And it doesn't make you love this one any less. It's like how you can be asked to say your favorite song by your favorite artist and you can't narrow it down past the top 5 because you love all of those songs so much. It's like I love ice cream and I love chocolate. And just because I love ice cream doesn't mean I love chocolate any less. I love them both equally. And in applying that to relationships, right? It's like you have friends, like your best friend, you love your friend so much. When you get into a relationship and you have a partner, do you then take some of the love you give to your friend and give to your partner instead? Or do you carry on loving your friend this much and now you also love this other person? Like, just because you have a new person in your life that you love doesn't mean you love other people any less than you did before. And I think that in itself shows that like we are capable of more love than we think we are. And I think a lot of it is just like this mental barrier of like we're told that you can only love one person. We believe that you can only love one person, that like it is such a limited amount when it's not. I think that it's a beautiful thing to allow yourself to love multiple things, multiple people wholeheartedly. Is it something that is for everyone? As I said, no, I don't think everyone has to live by this, but I think that we are all capable of it, and it's something that a lot of people are holding themselves back from out of fear. And like, even if you aren't going into like a non-monogamous relationship with this mentality, you know, I think that it's important to realize that you can widen your circles, you can have more people in your life, and like, you don't have to worry about being loved less just because other people love other people too. As for the other version of polyamory, that is non-monogamy, that works more like you have a partner, or maybe you have two partners, and then you have like casual relationships outside of that. Like you only have one or two like strong partners, or even just like you're in an open marriage. So you're like in a dedicated relationship with someone, you're not looking for anything else that's like romantic or with like an emotional connection, whatever. You're just like going out and having like casual hookups or whatever. That doesn't take away from how much your partner loves you either, right? Like I think once again, this can be such a healthy thing because sometimes people don't match entirely when it comes to sexuality. Maybe one of you has a higher sex drive than the other. Maybe one of you has kinks that the other one isn't into. And it means that like you can love this person and be in love with this person and still have those intimacy needs met elsewhere. And that keeps your relationship stronger because your needs are being met by someone else while your emotional needs are being met here. And again, I think that requires such a high level of like trust and communication. And so it makes those core relationships even stronger. And I think that there are so many reasons why this works for so many people. And I think that a lot of people close off the idea because, again, there's like a lot of jealousy of being like, if they're involved with someone else, it means they love me less. But that isn't true. Being involved with other people doesn't take away from the love you have. I think that that's something that could improve certain relationships, because I think that sometimes, you know, relationships don't work purely because you don't vibe sexually, and it must be like a really difficult thing to move past that and to like either do things that you don't particularly want to or like miss out on things you don't want to when you could be having both. So in saying that, I think that open relationships can be very effective and can be a really great thing, and I think can be incredibly healthy because it requires such a huge amount of trust and communication, which are like the biggest foundations to a healthy relationship. However, it can also be done unethically and badly because some people are not very good at communication, and in which case it is not a good idea. So, you know, it works for some people, it doesn't work for others. But if it's done well, then it's great. Now that we've sort of talked about what poly relationships look like and what it sort of entails, I want to sort of dive into the sort of hate that they're getting and where it's coming from and why. Because as I said, I always find it so completely disorienting because poly people aren't really doing anything. They're just kind of minding their business, and then they just get brought up and used as punching bags. A lot of the time they're not even involved. They're just kind of made to be the punching bag of a conversation just because people like to have someone to laugh at. So like recently I was scrolling through Twitter looking at all my fun like poly ship art and stuff like that, you know, as you do. And then reach this tweet, which is a screenshot of a TikTok that has 655,000 likes, by the way, that says, when someone mentions I'm a lesbian too loud, and now the unemployed polyamorous they them who crowdfunded their cat Spay won't stop staring at me. And this is something that's so interesting about this conversation, which I mentioned at the beginning, is that so many queer people are in this, like so many people who are involved in this conversation and in this like hatred that is being thrown around are queer people. It is an area where queer and straight people come together to hate on a relationship dynamic that they just don't understand. And I think that coming from queer people, it sort of feels very much like needing to hold on to some sort of power. It's like bonding with the oppressor, right? It's like looking at our oppressors and being like, hey, look, we agree on this topic. It's looking at it and being like, if I put this group of people down, that means that I am bringing myself up, which is not how it works. Putting someone down does not bring you up. You are staying in the exact same place on the hierarchy as you were before. You were just pushing someone down to make yourself feel bigger, but that's not how this works. And like cozying up to your oppressor and being like, look, we have something in common. We both hate these people. Like, look, at least I'm not them. I'm better than them. I could be worse. I could be them. So like, surely you love me now, right? And that's brought in even more by the fact that they brought non-binary people into this, like being like the they them polyamorous person, which adds to that whole level of like, look, I'm in a normal monogamous relationship and I'm a normal gender as well. So like that's two whole things that we have in common. We could have like three things different. We only have two. So we're like almost exactly the same. So like you should love me. We're the same. We're on the same level. Bonding with your oppressor over discriminating against another group of people does nothing to your social standing. Like you are not helping anyone. You are just hurting people. At the end of the day, you are like, homophobia still exists. People are still going to oppress you and discriminate against you, including these people who you are bonding with over hating polyamorous people. Like you aren't helping anyone. You like doing the whole like, you're making queers look bad. Like, no. No. A temporary illusion and a boost of power is not real. You have not done anything. You have not moved anywhere. You are in exactly the same spot as you were before, except now you've hurt a bunch of people for no reason. I understand that it can be annoying being approached by someone you aren't interested in. And I especially understand like that it's not okay for people to be misleading you on like dating sites. Like when there are people looking for a third or anything along those lines on dating sites and they don't tell you that straight up. So you end up spending time messaging them and you organize a date and they show up with an extra person. Or like, you know, you have conversations and then they tell you, like if you were investing time into it and then, you know, you're getting into the situation where they're kind of wasting your time and trying to manipulate you into something that you didn't agree with, absolutely not okay. I completely think that that is a valid thing to talk about and to express and to like express frustration with, because like that's not okay. Manipulating people, lying to people, wasting people's time. Don't do that. I do think that if they are being straight up with that, if there are people on dating apps who are like looking for a third or whatever, that's totally valid. That's totally fine. If you don't like it, don't match with them. Move on, carry on. I think that they deserve a space to, you know, find someone who might be interested in that, because there are other poly people, other people in open relationships who may be looking for that. So I think that they're allowed to exist in these spaces as long as they are making it known what they are looking for, and as long as when you say no, they carry on, it's fine, you know? And I think that you sitting here and saying like, when they say I'm a lesbian too loudly so the polyamorous person across the room starts looking, I just don't believe you. I have so many doubts that you have ever been approached by a polyamorous person in public to join them. Like, I'm willing to put money on the fact that this has never happened, or maybe if it has, it's happened once, twice at an absolute maximum. Unless you were going to like swingers clubs or whatever, like this isn't happening. Especially not in like a public place, like in the office or in a cafe or like anywhere like that, you know, like that's not happening. Don't spread this like misinformation just because you think it's funny to laugh at people. And then on top of that, you have mentioning the fact that they are, you know, unemployed and they crowdfunded money to pay for their cats being spayed, which is so strange because firstly, it's classist. And secondly, I'm sorry, this is kind of irrelevant because cats don't really come into this again, but I don't understand what the issue is with that. I think that, you know, spaying your cat is an incredibly important thing to do, and it's also very costly. And I think that using a crowdfunder to, you know, save up for vet bills is sad that we live in a world where you have to do that, but like completely valid and I think quite responsible. And I don't understand what the issue is. Again, if you don't want to donate to something like that, then just don't. It's got nothing to do with you. I don't know why cats are always tied into like people having like unconventional relationship dynamics or whatever. Like just leave cats out of it, okay? That's what I'm really getting at. Leave cats alone. A massive part of poly hate comes down to stereotyping, and this especially applies to physical appearances. There was this TikTok that went viral back earlier this year, I believe, which reflects a very large part of this conversation, and that is this TikTok.
Why do people in open relationships always look like that? I'm being very non-specific here, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. I just really want to know what lifestyle or behavior or really anything is happening that causes this weird correlation in looking like that and then having this desire to like share your partner with other people. I don't understand. Like whatever that thing is that's causing this, I want to avoid that at all costs.
And if you don't know what he's talking about because you have thankfully missed all this horrific stereotyping that has been happening over the past several months, maybe years, then don't worry about it because he made a video showing exactly what he's talking about by making a compilation of a bunch of the people that stitched this video who were like offended by it, that all fit the picture that he's painting. And the things these people all have in common is gender ambiguity, dyed hair, piercings, and or being plus size. So they have like 2 or more of these traits. They tick a couple of these boxes. And in case this wasn't enough as far as demonstrations of the type he is talking about, and to show how widespread it is even more, there was another TikTok that has 500,000 likes that was someone saying that they made a stereotypical poly couple in Sims. And it is a masked person and 2 more femme people. The masked person, I think they're trying to show is fat, but his proportions are like kind of weird. It looks like they stretched his torso and like didn't touch his limbs, which is strange, but whatever. He has an emo haircut with cat ears and a graphic tee and a patchy beard. He's wearing jean shorts and a bum bag. And then one of the femme people has short blue hair that's kind of like shaved on the sides and like longer on the top. She's a purple graphic tee laid over a long sleeve stripy top, and she is also on the larger side. And then the final femme person has short pink hair, a graphic tee with a skull and a colorful necklace, and she is on the slimmer side. And so this once again is sort of portraying the whole, you know, picture that poly people have piercings, colored hair, gender ambiguous, and are fat. They tick 2 or 3 or more of those boxes. And I, first and foremost, just have to say that all of these people just look like normal ass fucking people. Like, they just look like people. You go outside and you see a bunch of people who look like this because they're people and they look like people. But I'll bite, all right? The reason that they look like that as in like the dyed hair, the piercings, the clothes that you don't deem, you know, cool enough or whatever, the gender ambiguity, etc., is because they don't care about societal standards. Obviously, they've chosen to live outside of societal standards in how they exist within their relationships. They are in polyamorous relationships. That is outside of society's boxes. So obviously that is going to extend into how they present themselves. They don't care about societal norms. They are going to express themselves in ways that society has told them that they shouldn't do. I find it interesting to point this out because, like, this is something that is very true within just queer people in general. This isn't like a polyamorous specific thing. Like, queer people express themselves in these ways, in such similar ways too. The rainbow hair, the piercings, the tattoos, the wearing, different unconventional clothing. Like, I wear a lot of like bright rainbow colors, and like people who are like more goth. A lot of that is very queer, because being queer means you are living separately to societal standards. You are already not in one of the boxes that society has told you that you must exist in. So there's less resistance. A lot of queer people express themselves outside of societal norms because we are already living outside of societal norms. And a lot of freedom of expression and the way we express ourselves is also very politically tied, right? Because we are against social conformity. It's a lot of self-expression that a lot of people deny themselves because they are busy trying to fit themselves into society's boxes. After making this video though, he came out and he didn't apologize, but he was like, you guys are taking this way too seriously. It was all just in good fun. It was just a bit of a joke. I had a lot of polyamorous people reply to me and reach out and say, they found it funny because they aren't those people. They don't have that look. So like they found it really funny. And this isn't the like good take that you think it is, bro, because what this says basically is just that polyamory is fine. It's totally chill and totally okay as long as you fit within society's beauty standards. It's like totally fine if you're polyamorous, just as long as you aren't ugly. As long as you fit into the box that I want you to aesthetically fit into, you can do what you want. That's totally fine. Listen, I am not against a little joke at one's expense, but that only applies if you are punching up or you are making fun of yourself, right? So like if a poly person made this joke, that's fine. That's one thing. Like making fun of yourself, that's funny. You're allowed to do that. And it's not with malicious intent. It's just having a bit of a laugh at yourself. I do this about myself all the time. I fit so many queer stereotypes. I am a queer caricature. During Pride Month, they put up like posters of like just cartoon drawn like queer people, and they all look like me. We have the same haircut, the dyed hair, we have the same piercings, we wear the same clothes. Like I am every queer caricature because I am the stereotype. My name on Twitter is Queerotype. I made a video on the second channel where I was like ticking boxes of how many queer stereotypes I fit. Like, it's funny. I'm allowed to joke about that. Other queer people are allowed to joke about that. People can laugh about it when I joke about it. But you can't make those jokes at other people's expense. And you cannot do it when you are punching down. And yes, polyamorous people are not, technically an oppressed group in themselves. Like being polyamorous does not make you oppressed. However, a large amount of polyamorous people are queer, and seemingly all of the ones that you included in your video that you were making fun of are queer. The people who have the look, they are largely queer people. They are largely gender non-conforming people. And so in which case you are punching down. You are making fun of queer people and you are making fun of them for their queerness and for their self-expression. That is just sort of a fact in that, Like their queerness is a big factor in why you are making fun of them. And that is not something that you can deny, especially when you are sitting here and you are deliberately laughing at people who look very gender ambiguous and are largely non-binary people. Like that's being transphobic, I don't know if there's a separate word for being specifically like non-binary phobic, but it falls under the trans umbrella. So I'm gonna say transphobic, but let me know if that's not the correct term to be using here. And the other group of people that are being targeted in here are also fat people, whom are also a group of people who face social oppression. Obviously, very noticeably, this conversation has a lot of very thinly veiled fat phobia, which is made very apparent by all the people who are featured in this conversation. Whenever they talk about people having the look, it's always fat people. People who express themselves with dyed hair, piercings, tattoos, etc., but fit other societal beauty standards do not typically make the cut into this conversation. They are left separate on the side because they don't prove the point that they're trying to make of all of them having the look, you know? But I would like to have the addition in there to say that that is deliberately done by straight people. Queer presenting people of all body shapes face discrimination and bullshit all the time. All the time. I personally have received so many comments over the years from especially straight men saying that they didn't even need me to open my mouth before knowing what I was going to say was bullshit because I have dyed hair. I have had people tell me shit like that online for so long. Always straight men telling me that like they don't care about anything I have to say. They're not going to listen to me and just completely pulling me apart because I have dyed hair and piercings. And so therefore anything I say is completely irrelevant. But other queer people, especially queer women, with the exception of conservatives, obviously, don't use that as a weapon against me. They don't write me off because of how I present myself. They don't write me off because of how I present myself. And in fact, I think a lot of people, you know, appreciate the way that I present myself and like my hair, they like my piercings, etc. And I would argue that I present very similarly to a lot of these people who are being made fun of, with the exception of having thin privilege. However, in saying that, I'm sure if I came out as being poly, straight people especially would completely jump on that and say, you look poly. You look poly. Despite the fact I've literally never heard that before. But as soon as I can like fuel that narrative, I will be used for it. You know, I look queer, sure. But because I fit other societal beauty standards, I don't look poly until I openly am poly. And then suddenly, oh, you do. I would be a tool to be able to fuel this narrative that all poly people are, self-expressive? Because really all that's been proved so far is that poly people express themselves. They aren't afraid to express themselves, and you don't like it when people are conventionally not attractive. That's all we've been told so far. This further adds to the previous point of queer people using poly people as targets in order to gain approval from our oppressors and feel higher up in the privileged patriarchy. Using poly people aren't an oppressed group. They are choosing this lifestyle as an excuse to be cruel. Poly people do choose to be non-monogamous. They are choosing to be happy, but that's not that's not an excuse to be cruel to someone. That's not an excuse to bully someone completely unprompted. Like, seeing someone just exist is not grounds to be cruel. It is not grounds to rip someone apart just because they are doing something slightly different to you. Leave people alone. It's really not that difficult to just let people live their lives. Like, we have faced oppression for so long. I don't know why you want to pass that on to someone else under the excuse of, but they're not oppressed. That's not a reason to bully people, because that's what you're doing. It's not just like, you know, poking fun. It's like genuinely cruel. And it is picking people apart and being mean in ways that are like hurtful, deliberately hurtful. Something I find really funny is that, like, you know, this entire poly hate conversation almost entirely revolves around appearances. I've not really ever heard any other reason. I've never seen a conversation about poly people that doesn't revolve around they have a look. They all look like this. Of course you're poly, look at you. Like, that is really the only way I ever see this conversation happening. And all that does is enforce the fact that there is actually nothing wrong with polyamory. Like, you can't think of a single valid reason that it's bad, so you take the route of like pulling someone down for their appearances, which is the worst way to go about an argument. If the only argument you have is to generalize and bully people for not fitting into a social standard and for looking a specific way that you don't like, you've lost, man. You've lost. We know that pretty privilege exists, right? We know that pretty privilege exists and that beauty and self-worth have been tied so tightly together throughout history. And we know that, you know, if you really want to hit someone where it hurts, it is very easy to go for their appearance. It is very easy to hit someone in that spot because we have been taught that, you know, that shit matters. It does impact our place in the world. And if you are going to try to hurt someone and cut them, coming for their appearance is a good way to do that. The only reason people are going in with this is with the deliberate intent to hurt people. It has nothing to do with polyamory itself. It has nothing to do with any of that other than you see someone who is living in a way that you don't understand, so you try to hurt them as an individual. You are trying to harm people who have literally done nothing but exist. And you come in with the pettiest thing in such a harsh way because you know that it's going to hurt, and it is going to hurt pretty much anyone you fire with. Beauty does matter, unfortunately. We have been told that it matters. And you know the impact of making fun of someone for how they look is going to have. I am a strong believer in never stooping down to making fun of someone's appearance in order to make a point. I have literally hundreds of videos. A large majority of them, as you know, I sit down and I am making fun of people or at the very least, I am criticizing people. And not once, not a single time have I ever brought someone's appearance into that conversation. Because the second that I do that, it means that I'm signing a fucking release saying that I don't have a leg to stand on. Because the way someone looks has absolutely nothing to do with anything. It is so irrelevant. And if you are bringing someone's appearances into an argument, you are just trying to cut them where it hurts and saying that you don't actually have an argument. Every time I see someone who has good points, the second they start going, and well, you're ugly, and well, you look like that, suddenly I'm like, well, I was on your side, and now you've just shown me that you literally don't know what you're talking about and you have no further arguments. It's throwing in the towel and giving up. And not only that, like, not only is it baseless and has absolutely nothing to do with the morals of any conversation, you also have to remember that, like, other people look like that. Like, you are deliberately trying to hurt this one person, or in this instance, like, a group of people who all share this characteristic, who are specifically polyamorous. Like, you are targeting someone for a way that they look without thinking or without caring about the other people who are not involved at all who look like this. Even if the person, putting polyamory to a side for a second, even if the person you are talking about or making fun of is a terrible person who has done terrible things, there are other people who share whatever characteristic it is you are making fun of. If you are being like making fun of someone for their body shape because they've said something you don't like, or even if they've said something truly terrible, there are people who also have that body type who are seeing that, and you are now making them feel insecure. There are people who share those facial features. There are people who share whatever it is you're making fun of someone for. They are seeing that and they are feeling that too. It is not just impacting the people that you are talking about. It doesn't matter what the situation or who you're talking about. Like, coming for someone's appearances negates your entire argument, and it also hurts so many people, like thousands if not millions of people, through bullying just like one person. And I would love to say that beauty doesn't matter and we shouldn't care that much, but like, it obviously does, or you wouldn't be going after them for their looks in the first place. And even when you take away, like, you know, people's physical traits and appearances, making fun of the way people express themselves through like, you know, their hair, their clothes, whatever, and using that against them, that's making it very personal, but is also, again, people who have been scared to express themselves will be seeing that and will continue to not express themselves because they're afraid of people making fun of them as well. Queer people who are all in this conversation making fun of these people for the poly look are like keeping a bunch of other queer people closeted or not wanting to express themselves in whatever form that they want to. Maybe they've always wanted to dye their hair or get piercings and now they won't because they've seen that you're going to lump them in this box and then bully them for it. You know, like you are hurting a lot more people than whoever it is that you're targeting. And I just don't think that that's something we should be doing. It's so sad to be constantly reminded by how much beauty matters and how important it is to our societal standards, but obviously it still is. And it's so frustrating and so upsetting to see. If you are going to criticize someone, then you have to have something of value to criticize them about. All you can do is call them ugly, then like you've lost. You have immediately lost. And I'm not going to listen to anything else you have to say about the matter. Like in this case of polyamory, again, I've never actually seen a valid argument against polyamory. I've never seen a valid reason to hate polyamory and polyamorous people. It's just never happened. It's just a bunch of people being bullies. If you can offer me one good, solid, actual reason to hate polyamory as a practice, please let me know. I will be waiting. Not all polyamorous people are good. Not all people practicing polyamory or non-monogamy are good and are doing it correctly. That's true. That's fair. And I think that that deserves its own conversation. But just like not all monogamous relationships are perfect. We have unhealthy and toxic monogamous relationships and monogamous relationships that lack communication and trust and love. Just as like, obviously we're also going to have that within polyamory. There are always going to be bad relationships. There are always going to be bad people. That doesn't mean you get to write off an entire group of people just because it's fun to bully people. I think that we can talk about the issues and talk about ways to be ethically non-monogamous and like have conversations around making that happen. But at this point, like a lot of people, when they're being open about polyamory online, are facing so much lashback and bullying that there isn't enough of the conversation happening because people are afraid to be out about it. Just leave people alone. Let people live their lives. It's got nothing to do with you. I have to assume that some of this has to come from jealousy, right? Like a lot of people I think would be practicing non-monogamy if they thought that they were allowed to. They don't. Because they aren't capable of the level of trust and communication, and they themselves probably have a lot of jealousy issues, so don't want to do it. So instead, make fun of other people who are living the life that they wish they could live, but can't or won't. Because I feel like a lot of conversations like this come down to that, right? Because again, they don't have any valid reasons, so why else are we doing this? Be kind to people, you know? Don't bully people. Don't diminish people down to their physical appearances. Don't base entire conversations around being cruel. Think about what you're saying and think about your actions and like internalize why you feel the need to bring other people down. Think about what you get out of this and why you find it so powerful to be just bringing people down for no reason. Is it fun? Are you having a good time like hurting people for no reason other than what? A minute of feeling good about yourself? Let people live their lives and you can carry on living yours. If you don't understand people, you can either try or you can leave them the fuck alone. We all have a place and we are all valid in our experiences and the way that we choose to live our lives as long as we aren't hurting people. You just need to respect and understand that. We all have a place and we are all valid in our own experiences and choices. Think about things before you speak and before you act. Choose to be kind. Choose open-mindedness. Choose love. You can talk about your own experiences, and if you've had negative experiences with polyamory before, that's totally fine to talk about, but there's no need to generalize and bring down and insult a whole group of people just for the lols. Don't be bullies. A massive thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons: Stella, Trippy Day 27, Bay the Trucker, Chastity, Beckett, Prismatic PT, LJ James D, MA Ping the Games, Blaze, Uh-Oh It's Craiglow, Phil the Duck, Jesse A, River, Queen Glimmer, Ella, Lady Nutbar, Mr. Noodle, Radsack, Knitting Menace, Samuel, Chris, Ellie, Alexis, and Bobby. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for joining. If you would like to become a patron, you go to patreon.com/savvycat or click the link in the description. For as little as £1 a month, you get my videos 1 to 5 days early and with no ads for those days. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, TheQueerKiwi, and Twitter, ThatQueerKiwi. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. When you close your eyes, you replay